Hello there, sword friends. I just received a giant box. Let's find out what's inside of it. Here we do. This was a box. Sometimes I expect to receive giant boxes in the mail, but sometimes they come in rather spontaneously. So this was a situation where I don't actually know what's inside. I have a couple ideas, have a couple suspicions, but it will be a surprise for both of us. Does anyone want to have a guess? I'll give you a hint. It is almost certainly a sword. If I have uploaded this video, it will be a sword. So, what type of sword will it be? Will it be a one-handed sword? Will it be a two-handed sword? It comes up to my belly button, so I don't think it'll be a two-handed sword. There are two boxes in here. So we have at least two swords. And emblazoned on this box, it says SBG, Sword Buyer's Guide, Swordier. So this is from our sword friend Alex, who runs Swordfriend out of China. So right. So it's a nice, rather nice black box. Opens up, and seated handsomely in a styrofoam cutout, we have, I don't know if everyone can see, a single-handed sword. This is a type of saber. And this is a type of hussar saber. I'm not sure exactly the name of the model that he calls it, but this is in the style of Eastern European hussar sabers from roughly the 17th century. So it does have a belt. I actually don't have much in the way of sword belts. The leather on this is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's a step up from the lowest grade of leather. It's got two suspension points, which is typical for cavalry style sabers. And it has a certificate of authenticity. It's got the Swordfriend logo on it. It says certificate, name of product. So it's got it on here. It says European sword. Quality inspector number 10. Grade qualified, made in Longchuan, China. So straight out of the forges of Longchuan. And I'm going to pull it out for us. It's got a nice sleeve on there, and there's plenty of oil. And we have a pretty handsome saber blade. That is actually not too shabby. So we have a thumb ring on here, a L style or stirrup guard, a grip that's just perfectly passable. It's rather modern. It seats my hand quite nicely. That's pretty good. And right off the bat, let's do a sharpness test because everyone wants to know. It's oily, so sometimes that'll retard the sharpness ability, but let's give it a whirl anyway. Yeah, it cut pretty well. Even with the, here, I'll do a little bit more paper. That is point sharp. That is very nice. What about the false edge? The false edge is also sharp. Huh. Not too bad. It's not amazingly sharp, but much sharper than most false edges that I get on saber blades are only modestly sharp. This is sharp enough to cut paper with. This is a pretty handsome saber, and my understanding is that it's on the budget range. That's pretty cool. This is a functional saber, and it's we'll have to talk about the history in another video. It's got a scabbard. It is a wood core scabbard that has been I can see how strategically it's been made to accommodate the yeoman on it. That's really cool. All right, so first impressions, a really neat kind of offering. Anyone who is on a budget and wants something to scratch your cavalry itch, that's something to keep in mind. They even have a kind of neat looking peen on there. I'll have to show. I'm not sure if the camera will show the peen block there at the end, but that's I rather like the design that they put on the peen there. Pretty neat. Okay, what about the next piece? So sword number 1 done. Oop, I opened it the wrong way. It fell out. Same packaging as last time. This one, obviously, these look very similar. They are made by the same manufacturer. I am covered in styrofoam now. Whew. So what is this? So once again, I have Associate Sword Belt. And this says European Sword, Inspector 10, qualified, made in Longchuan, China. So you might be able to recognize it by the profile. This is a European falchion. So it has a cord-wrapped grip, which isn't too bad. They've managed to sneak a couple risers under there to give it a little bit of body. It's got a nice big wheel pommel. I assume that that's not hollow, so that's going to have a lot of mass on there. And it has this very ornately cast cross on there. And the leather work is actually really, really kind of fancy. It's almost over the top. the way that they put leather onto the scabbard. The scabbard also has some body to it. There's a couple of risers in there. And then it's got this almost floral design on there. So this is, I'd say, a mild fantasy design in the motif. The risers help keep the belt buckles into position. The leather feels nice. Very handsome. Let's take a look at it. Ooh. All right. My plastic got stuck. Give me a second. All right, take 2. Now that the plastics come out, here's the blade. So we have a pretty handsome Elmsley type 3C falchion blade. So it's got a very gentle type of point on here. It starts off pretty thick. So it starts off at maybe 5.5, 6 millimeters here. And it has nice distal taper to it, tapering down to maybe 2.5 or 3 millimeters there, based on what I can see. So it's probably still reasonably stiff, but it does flex where it should in the latter part of the blade. It's got a good grind on there, and it has a little bit of a secondary bevel, but it does seem to be very sharp. Where's my little testing paper. All right, I found some testing paper. So we'll try the edge. Oh yeah, the edge is super duper sharp. Wow, that is very, very good. And like many like falchions of this type, it looks like it has a very slightly lenticular section. The fullering is pretty straight. There's a little minor wobble to it, but it feels pretty nice in the hand. I'll have to run the dynamics on it. Yeah, so first impressions are quite nice, especially considering I'm pretty sure that these are under $300. I'll have to go back and double check the website. I'm pretty sure there's two versions. There's, I think, a plain version, and this is the improved or upgraded version. I will put a link to both of these swords below. So showcasing both of the blades side by side. So a single-edged sword from the medieval period and a single-edged sword from the Renaissance to post-Renaissance, really, period. And two offerings from Swordfriend Alex. Thank you so much for sending these to me for review. We will do formal review videos on both of them, but initial impressions are quite good. Swordfriend has been impressing me quite a bit with not only the models that they are creating, but the ability for them to stay in touch with customers and the listening to feedback and make improvements on the line as they are developing them. This is a company to watch going forward. So let's see what these can do in the future. Until next time, guys, take care.